Okay, so welcome back. I'm the Emerald Explorer, and yesterday I did a really cool video where I had my tunnel cannon and it shot a regular tunnel shot, and then you had to shoot several non-tunnel shots, and then you could tunnel again. So that was my 1 year challenge video, and I asked you in the comments how that worked. Now, of course, that was a pretty hard question since I really didn't give you that much information about the cannon, and there were really no sources online that I could find, at least, that actually explained how it happened. But if you watch my How Cannons Work video, or videos, specifically my How Hammers Work video, you might have a little idea. What I mean by that is I explained game ticks in that video, and one game tick is basically when everything gets calculated. Now there are two game ticks in one redstone tick, and this cannon fires TNT from its tunnel side every single redstone tick. Now that's basically every other game tick, and if you're getting a little hypothesis right now of how this actually works, get that this actually only tunneled every other sort of section. So, you probably sort of understand how it works by now, but let me actually explain the real physics behind it. So, let's just say each of these wood planks represents a game tick. Now, of course, these wood planks are basically infinitely small, because a game tick basically gets calculated instantaneously. It's almost like your frame on your computer changing. You usually don't see an image sort of halfway there and the next frame halfway there. I mean, I'm sure it has to happen, but it's basically an instantaneous change. So in this game tick, everything gets calculated. And let's just say we have a TNT here, and each of these TNT represents one TNT, but it had different game ticks. And you see, it's never actually in the middle here. That's because, as I said, each game tick, things get calculated. Nothing can happen in the middle of a game tick like that. And the TNT basically just gets calculated based on its environment. Of course, if there was a stone wall right here, this TNT would be right here. That's because it calculates that there's a stone wall there, because the game basically just sees where it's going to go. And the way you actually see it with your graphics is you just basically see this slow motion replay, almost like Twixtor. And it's not always 100% right. But, fortunately, game ticks allow us to do a lot of things which you couldn't do if you had a lot more game ticks. And I'm not sure this is how every game works, but I'm guessing a lot of games actually use game ticks because, I mean, it would be really intensive to actually calculate things every single time your frames per second gets calculated, or frame gets calculated. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. But, let's actually, do this. Let me explain first how sand stacking works. I did this already, but, let's just say this is the last game tick right here. And the sand gets down to here, and this is just one sand. And it calculates everything for the sand basically instantly. Then it goes for the next sand, which is here, and it calculates that instantly. It just gets teleported down. This is how I explained it to you, my waffles. Then it gets teleported down again for the next sand, gets teleported down. That basically happens until the next sand right here doesn't have anywhere to place, because that's where it was the last game tick, so it can't go up like that. And it just breaks. So that's the same sort of with tunnel cannons, and also it's the same with horizontal stacking, if you've seen any videos on that. But let me just show you a little representation of how that works. I think, let me just align it. Okay, so the first TNT goes and everything gets calculated for it, and it explodes, it destroys its block, then calculates the next TNT, which goes over here, destroys this area, then it calculates the next, until it is all the way down here. Now, of course, since this only goes every other game tick, it won't be able to actually destroy this area, because when the TNT, and yes, this is the point where This is actually the second, or actually, yeah, the one game tick after this, because TNT takes one game tick, let me just say, to get from here to here. So, as I'm saying, the TNT would actually not be able to explode this right away because it's not exploding at that certain game tick. So, its velocity would stop, and would still explode this area, but it would be much, much slower. And then here, when it's actually 2 game ticks after that, it would be in its area where it is actually exploding again, and then would tunnel. Just like that. And I probably didn't do a really accurate sort of explosion right there, but I hope you get the idea. So now let me actually fire this thing and show you the solution. Okay, so as you probably saw, there's a cannon in the back there, and the distance is just the distance of the tunnel. So you see right here, this tunnel is, I think it was like 20 something blocks. So this is exactly 20 something blocks away. So it basically fills in for the game tick, which it's not firing. There's also another way, which I'm assuming would be a lot more mainstream, and I'll try to do tomorrow. I'm not sure I'll get it done tomorrow, but I'll try. And that is actually by making the TNT go off every single game tick. And to do that, you would actually need sort of a 1 game tick offset, but it's a little bit hard to do, but I'll try to do it. I know it's possible. So, since this cannon should sort of cover in for where this cannon doesn't tunnel, let's fire it and see if this works. Of course, it's not going to work exactly the right way, and that's just because, of course, there is air resistance and friction and everything. So having TNT explode every single game tick in this would actually work a lot better. Plus, you wouldn't have to push the buttons multiple times, and you just push the button once, and it will probably tunnel like 20 chunks or something. And you see, that's amazing for just having that compactness. Because if you see another 20 chunk tunnel cannon, it is going to really, really be hard to make it this compact. In fact, it's going to be impossible with Bing Sad's 20 chunk tunneler. So let's fire this again. Since that already should have covered the area where that couldn't tunnel. There, that tunneled, and I'm not sure this is going to work. We might have to shoot a couple times just because, as I said, air resistance. Let's see this. Yeah, we might have to shoot a little bit, but of course it's a lot better than shooting several times. And as I said, this is still pretty much just a prototype because doing it 1 game tick would be the way that everybody probably will use eventually. So now we're done with that, and let's just do one more shot. See if we can do this. One right here. Might take 1 or 2 shots here. Actually, I think that got caught because of gravity, but you get the general idea. We could sort of expand this forever, especially if we had more power and everything. Just imagine if we actually got this to fire every single game tick, and having this instead with a 20 chunk, we could probably go like 200 chunks in 1 shot. Just imagine that. That would be really, really amazing. But yeah, maybe I'll try to do that next time. You'll just have to wait and see. So, I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching. It's been a wonderful time being on YouTube for 1 year.